Welcome to the Rebekah Panepinto Project. Today, I am very excited to host a dear friend named Elliott Cordo. Elliott is an expert in data engineering, data warehousing, information management, and technology innovation, with a passion for helping transform data into powerful information. He has more than a decade of experience implementing cutting-edge and data-driven applications, and Elliott thrives on helping organizations understand the true potential in their data by working alongside them as a leader, an architect, and a hands-on contributor across the company. Elliott has built nearly a dozen cloud-native data platforms on AWS, ranging from data warehouses and data lakes to real-time activation platforms for startups to large enterprises. In his current role as the head of data at Capsule, Elliott is focused on building a cloud-native data and machine learning platform that empowers the pharmacy that works for everyone. Enjoy the show. Hey, Elliott, welcome to the show today.
Hi, glad to be here.
Yeah, this is fun. I love when people that I've maybe spent very little time together in person with become fast Zoom friends. And you're one of those.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think we've spent more time virtually than in person, but I'm such a huge fan and love what you're doing at Capsule. So I'm excited for you to come on the show today and talk about that.
Yeah, me too. And thanks for that.
Awesome. So you have a very interesting background and journey. We met when you were at Equinox and really working in a startup environment there. But now you're doing some really cool just data engineering and data leadership within Capsule as well. And I'm sure that has opened your eyes even more to like a lot of my background, which is healthcare and the big problems to solve within healthcare. But let's start with this Equinox experience and consulting. And I guess I want to hear from you when that first bug for getting into data and being intrigued by what you can do with data within a business context really hit you and started to really develop into a career.
Yeah, so I've had the data bug, for going on like to date myself almost 2 decades. I've been focused on data engineering, insights for most of my career. I'd say, my kind of like moment where it clicked is when I kind of re-entered consulting with a boutique consulting firm called Concerted Concepts about 10 years ago. Obviously, a really super interesting time in technology. This was kind of the age of kind of like big data and machine learning, and just about every company trying to do like a digital transformation or a data transformation in that at that time. So, um, you know, entered as like a senior independent contributor or senior IC. Uh, and just kind of within the context of working at all these great companies, and in terms of the companies that I had an opportunity to work for, we're talking from the largest Fortune kind of list companies out there to small early stage startups. Um, Tons of different use cases, like the common ones in kind of banking, consumer prod, e-com, through niche, such as higher education, you know.
Mhm.
So I just, entering these businesses, seeing how they were trying to transform themselves, kind of understanding their business problems, understanding how like data and technology could map to solving those business problems really got me excited. I think that was like kind of my moment where it all clicked. I think quickly kind of graduated into kind of strategy, kind of data strategy, for these organizations, kind of helping them transform. So yeah, that was a great opportunity. Then you mentioned Equinox. Obviously, I had an opportunity to do a second tour of duty with Equinox. This
Nice.
time, entering at a time when they were going through digital transformation, being able to apply all those learnings to their business, their brick and mortar business, trying to digitize, later to a ground up digital startup, which is Equinox Plus, which I had the pleasure of working at and kind of launching like the Soul Cycle at home bike. And now here at Capsule, where we're trying to solve all sorts of interesting problems.
Very cool. I think consulting is always a good baseline to get exposed to, like you said, all these different industries and all these different ways that you can solve problems. And just even learning the personas and personalities within these industries, you learn a lot really fast. And so it's always a great starting point to figure out like what part of tech you're passionate about, where you can make an impact. And for you with it being data strategy, I'm sure then open further doors to groups like Equinox and Capsule. So how did the Equinox opportunity kind of come about? What was that journey like?
Yeah, so I spent some time with Equinox after kind of initially retiring from consulting. Um, Way back. Worked with them, did a lot of interesting stuff, kind of built out their data platform, CRM, left, did consulting, learned a lot, kind of got more into kind of strategy, kind of found my specialty and what I'm good at. And, always stayed very connected with them, with the leadership team, with the technical leadership team. And when I saw that they were at a point where they were kind of at an inflection point in their business where they really knew that they had to think more digitally, kind of come up with new experiences for their customers, I just really saw an opportunity where I could apply like all those learnings, right? And have, I think, a great opportunity to innovate and kind of make changes in their business, which was really rewarding. So it was just a perfect timing, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think anybody who ever leaves a job, kind of like looks at that place from the outside or feel, I guess, twofold. One, you had all these problems that you felt you could solve, like you felt you had like that secret to solve and didn't have an opportunity to kind of apply them. And also having, those additional learnings, so it was just a really good opportunity to go in there after like kind of thinking about like all these challenges and opportunities over the course of 4 years, and then having all that learning and having an opportunity to go in there and kind of make an impact was really, really amazing. So
Yeah, you got to specialize a little more and go deep on an industry.
yeah.
Did perks come from that as far as getting to be a part of the gym and try new and upcoming things like the bike and the technologies that you guys are releasing?
Yeah, for sure. Tons of perks, so I think we, inside that tech organization, we were always the guinea pigs. So whether it was some innovative, form of group fitness assessment, um, digital kind of scales and digital assessment, our first kind of digital workout products, the bike, we were the guinea pigs, most
Cool.
our in the media arm, we launched the product quickly because we all had bikes, and we were able to essentially QA and kind of test features and figure out what was not working and what was working, kind of early on. And it was awful handy to have that bike during the pandemic as well. So all worked out.
I always like when you can have a good connection between like something you're passionate about and it being a job. So for me, I would think like getting to be the guinea pig on the mirror. That would have been cool. I know that wasn't tech you guys built, but for the folks that did, like that had to be fun to know that that was coming to market before it was even out in the wild, and to try it and see if it works, and then be the person that's like, hey, I lost 30 pounds doing this brand new technology. Like that'd be fun to be a part of building.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely great to be able to be connected with something you're passionate about or you're into. Um, Lifelong kind of journey in fitness. I'd say that my modalities of fitness were not always the ones I got to test. Like I'm not a group fitness person, and I look pretty ridiculous doing it. But definitely got to participate. I did find I actually like cycling, which is something I probably would have never tried. But yeah, it's definitely great to be able to connect with that and overall be working on a product that helps make people better too.
Mhm.
At Equinox, that was the case. At Capsule, that's the case as well. So yeah, that's definitely a rewarding part of it as well.
Yeah, two very cool companies. So switching gears to Capsule now, you're helping really make a big impact in the advancement of the healthcare industry and access to pharmaceuticals. So I see, advertisements all over the city and little pop-up shops. But for those who aren't as familiar with Capsule, just because it's maybe not in their market just yet, can you give us an overview of really the big problem you're tackling for healthcare?
Yeah, yeah. So I'd first start with the concept of pharmacy. So, and this is like an interesting way of thinking about like innovation as well. So you think
Mm.
about all of these kind of like brick and mortar or kind of like traditional business models that have been digitized, like from getting food delivered to your door to grocery shopping to getting a car, a car service like the one that you were on today,
Mhm.
Uber. So there's all of these. It's getting to the point that like it feels quite saturated. Like it doesn't seem like there's as much undiscovered country of like digitization cases that haven't been solved. So pharmacy is one of those, and I think what intrigued me, if you think about how pharmacies operate, um, they haven't changed in model since they were invented. It's still very very kind of uh, laborious kind of like manual processes by pharmacists. Kind of a traditional kind of customer service model. If there is such a thing to be considered as customer service as it comes to pharmacy, it's not convenient. It's not convenient. And nobody's really kind of backed up and said like how should a pharmacy like operate, right? So I think what's really interesting about Capsule and just the kind of problem that they're trying to solve in general is this. They actually said, okay, well, what's the goal? It's to help our customers get the things that they need to feel better, to get medication, right?
Mm.
And then starting with that and starting with the customer and working backwards, like how do you do that? Like what should a pharmacy and what should his pharmacy service look like?
Mhm.
So yeah, so I think just a number of kind of like new kind of things to experience, things to learn about, kind of an industry that largely hasn't been digitized, and kind of starting from scratch, and it's really interesting to be a part of that.
Very cool. Yeah, when I think pharmacy, I do not think customer service. I think of even just for something like Claritin, having to go find the random piece of paper to then walk up to the pharmacist to tell them it's this card of what I'm looking for. There's always a line. They're
Yeah,
not happy to be there. It's like, the money is in just them selling drugs that kind of sell themselves. So it doesn't have to be a good user experience. And so for me, my perspective of Capsule is that's the biggest thing of why I would choose them for my pharmacy delivery over going to CVS or Walgreens, because there's just a better customer experience. But what are the challenges in that? I mean, you can't just go send a bunch of Claritin to somebody's home without there being things moderated and, their checks and balances, especially against, I'm sure, getting actually prescriptions written and things like that. So what have been some of those challenges you guys have had to overcome to be able to let the model work?
yeah. I think one broadly one of those challenges that you probably know with a healthcare background is healthcare, and I think like patient experience is kind of like not a cohesive experience. It's very disjointed, and I think you touched kind of like on that a little bit in terms of like think about like a doctor. So a doctor's writing a prescription for Claritin or whatever the medication might be, and then you're getting like a little script of paper and you got to go see a pharmacist, or maybe they're going to try to transfer that to a pharmacy in your area so you can at least go pick it up. But there's really no kind of like kind of communicate. It's not cohesive. It's like, doctor, I'm handing this off to like some pharmacy, right? And then you're going to go there and you're going to deal with problems, and they might have to like go back. You might have to go back and talk to your pharmacist. You might have to do something special with your insurance company, in order to get the drugs paid for. So like it ends up being like you're a problem, right? As soon as you leave the doctor. So like one of the things that we've got to do, is obviously, uh, you know, like one of our taglines is like a pharmacy that works for everyone. That's kind of like our motto, right?
Very
And
cool.
when we say everyone, we mean the customers, we mean the doctors, we mean the payers. Um, And so one of the things that we have to do is integrate with doctors. We've got to come up with a way that we can process EMR, ways that we can kind of deal with insurance companies and kind of make sure that claims are kind of like as automated as possible, and we reduce points of friction. So a lot of what we do is kind of integration and partnership with kind of these other uh, you know uh, customers who are usually out of band for pharmacies.
Mm.
Uh, and furthermore, again, coming back to like digitization and kind of like rethinking the industry, thinking what we can automate. And it's not just automation for the sake of like less people, less humans. Hey, like we can do this cheaper, but it's really faster, right? Like we want to
Mm.
remove kind of these friction points for customers in receiving their meds. The better that we can automate things, the faster we can get those meds to them. The less interactions they've got to have with people other than kind of the pharmacy they're directly dealing with to get the drugs they need. So
Yeah, it sounds like you have your work cut out for you.
yeah, definitely a lot of challenges to solve.
Lots of data points, but man, being able to snag your prescription via this platform or one of your retail shops, like that is pretty awesome. And it's just a gateway for, I think, more people to be able to be healthy and get care that they need without any kind of barrier or headache that the ecosystem kind of has today.
Yeah, let's say that this is not a perfect the right percentage, but I'd say that bordering on a majority of prescriptions go unfilled, right? So
Really?
you know um, I want to say 50% of prescriptions go
Wow.
unfilled, right? So that's for various reasons, right? But a lot of it comes down to just there being a road bump, right? Like some sort of bump, which is either from the doctor to the pharmacy, these various like friction points of kind of communication back and forth to doctors, communication to payers. So I think really kind of positive thing that Capsule can do is try to drive more adherence to medication just by
Mm,
making it a simpler experience, more seamless and more integrated.
that's very cool. And encouraging folks, yeah, to be held maybe a little more accountable to the
Yeah,
ecosystem because um, the headache is, I think, the thing that slows me down the most too. Of like, oh, it seems like I'm more worried about going to do what the doctor told me to do that the doctor is. He's kind of like getting paid either way. So if
yeah,
there could be an encouragement as part of the experience to actually get the meds that you need. I mean, I don't know if you guys messed with this technology before, but I even heard of apps that to make sure people are actually taking their medication, they can within the app show them swallowing the pill and actually ensuring that the medication every day was, you know, digested. Um, and that's something that I never thought like people would need. You would think, if you're sick and this gets you healthy, you would do XYZ, but it's a real problem. And first is helping with access. Second is some people go as far as like having to check in and make sure every day a healthcare provider is saying, hey, did you take XYZ? Are you making sure that you're getting healthier?
yeah. And I think like from a data perspective, I think that's an opportunity for Capsule as well. Like the providers, the doctors, do care about their patients being healthier. The industry is so disjointed that often they once they write that script, their insight into what their patients are doing is pretty minimal, right? Or at the very least, there's not timely enough to be actionable, right? So like
Yeah.
one of the opportunities with us being kind of like in the middle here is being able to build products that maybe give doctors and payers insights into adherence and people actually filling and refilling their prescriptions and being healthier. Because an interesting fact which I found interesting is you know people will go to pharmacies far more often than they go to doctors, right? Almost an order of
Interesting.
magnitude, right? So it creates, a touch point, which allows, us to, provide data, provide insights that can't be found elsewhere.
Very interesting. What is the retail experience you guys have built? Because personally, I've not been able to go into a capsule, but I've seen them. What is that experience you look to build that doesn't make it feel like a stuffy CVS or Walgreens pharmacy?
Yeah, so the retail is actually really interesting. So Capsule does create retail locations, right? Um, the the point is that with our service, we hope people don't need to use them, right? We provide the capability and the comfort level that if people feel that, like, picking up is the best channel for them to get their medication, we absolutely support that. And, we try to make that as delightful experience as possible. Like, our pharmacies are all nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
They all like a very, high design aesthetic. They're pleasant, they're cheerful places to go to, but definitely not part of our strategy, right?
Yeah.
We have them there. We have one physical brick and mortar location in each one of our markets, and our goal is that we bring the meds to you, and we just make it as easy as possible.
Very cool. So it can be more of a holding place for the prescriptions and a base for people to come and pick things up, but the focus is still to enhance the personalized experience with the brand by
Yeah,
having that as more of a presence. Okay.
yeah, it's there, and it's an important thing psychologically.
Yeah.
um
Mhm.
using the capsule service, like, you feel like, hey, I can drive there if I need to, right? So
Even if you
that,
don't, it's funny.
even if you don't, some part of it is psychological, but
Mhm.
like, we're happy that, like, it's an opportunity to serve our customers in a way if they need us to, right? Like,
Yeah.
we customers to come and pick up their meds if that's what they want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, no, this has been my perspective is I have seen Capsule advertised on taxis and all over the city. But it was when I drove by and I saw the physical retail space, I went, oh, they're a real company.
Yeah,
They're a
precisely.
real thing.
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. And the real pharmacies, that's actually typically where our resident pharmacists are, where we actually pack and distribute. So yeah, so it's multi-purpose.
Very cool. So how does the pharmacist role change with, pharmacy services being consumed through the Capsule platform? Do pharmacists scale more now? Are they upskilling in other areas? Are they able to do more time maybe with customer service or checking on adherence? What does that look like now that you've helped a lot of their job become digital?
Yeah, so we hope it makes their job easier and helps them focus on the things that it's most critical for them to work on. So for the most part, pharmacists aren't running around, like, pulling bottles and measuring and weighing and counting. Those things are largely automated. They are probably more focused on the things which are most important to their specialty. Checking to make sure people are getting the right meds, that there's no possible kind of issues with the med that they're taking, along with other meds that they're taking. Just really providing, like, kind of that kind of wisdom and kind of the skills that they're really there for. They're not there to be kind of running around, like, pulling pills and taking packaged items off a shelf. We largely automate those things. We have processes and workflows that make those things easy. They're focused on the problems which are really require the skills of the pharmacist, and that helps them scale, right? And it helps us scale. So that's definitely the case. Had the opportunity. Most capsules, we call ourselves capsules, get the opportunity to
Yes.
kind of visit a pharmacy and kind of see the operations and kind of understand the role. Kind of fill one of the ops positions, working the line to help people get their medications. And, it's really interesting how different, the experiences for pharmacists versus retail pharmacists. In most locations, it's a much different role and more
Yeah.
focused on their pharmacy specialty.
Yeah, I mean, their schooling is no joke. There's a large investment to become a pharmacist and to have their skill set, but I'm sure this makes their job that much more fulfilling because they get to actually apply their knowledge and, you know, detail orientation to the process versus just, yeah, how many boxes of whatever do we still have on the shelf and making sure that they're fully stocked. That's just
Yeah,
things that can be automated, like you said.
not
Machines can handle
something
that and let them do what they're good at.
exactly.
Mm, that's good. Let's switch gears a little bit now to your other passion within the data world, which is AWS. You have earned this title of an AWS Data Hero, which I don't know that a ton of people have. So help us understand what exactly an AWS Data Hero does and what you did to earn that status.
Yeah, yeah, I felt quite honored and definitely grateful for the opportunity to participate in the program. The Hero, I think, is an extension of their community building programs. So it's really two-part. I think it gives us an opportunity to have access to AWS in ways that you wouldn't as a customer typically. Any ability to kind of work and interact with product, have some influence, provide feedback, kind of get to touch things and kind of play with things before most folks, which I think is useful for AWS, definitely useful for me. The other part of it is kind of the community part, which, essentially, gives me a duty of kind of educating and kind of talking about things AWS, things in data engineering, so kind of just expanding on kind of a responsibility that I've taken on myself for many years, in terms of talking at conferences, meetups, blogging, whatever, to just try to help people be better at data and data engineering craft. So yeah, so it's great. I've gotten a lot out of it. Definitely trying to contribute more, as well as part of being part of this program.
Very cool. And you've gone pretty much all in on the AWS stack. Are there a few specific reasons as it relates to what you're able to do within data of why you've really gone all in on their stack over the years?
Yeah, totally. I think it comes down to maturity. Like I think
Mm.
AWS is more mature and has a breadth of services, especially around data, that other companies, other cloud providers, just don't. I think they're all kind of catching up to some extent. Like the playing field is kind of perhaps leveling a little bit, but I just think like the depth of kind of technology that AWS provides, as well as kind of just the ubiquity and like
Mm.
if you're going to go out there and talk data, for the most part, you're I'd say 9 out of 10 of the platforms out there are probably built on AWS. The professionals that you're going to deal with on AWS. So it's just a big community, and the technology is definitely there. And I think they keep investing in it. As part of that flywheel.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the big challenges is just keeping up on what's new in the industry. What's new with AWS, frankly, seems like releases or announcements are just constant and, all good stuff.
Daily.
Daily, for sure.
Mm. Yeah, so it's a lot of times a game of like keeping up and yeah, what's new. But when you take a step back and a breather, you're doing some pretty innovative things with data already, but do you see some maybe areas out in the industry or future within technology where data could be even further applied to have really game-changing results on different business outcomes?
Well, yeah, yes, I think like I don't know if there's any like pattern in a specific industry where I see opportunity. I think like just as a whole, organizations could there's still like a lot of opportunity in organizations to really leverage data to not only improve their business in kind of the traditional sense. I think as people think about data, they think about analytics and insights function, right? Like, hey, how can I operate better? How can I have more insights? my dashboards, my reports, etc. And that stuff is all critically important. But I think, one of the opportunities out there, and I think like a change of mindset for many like product organizations within companies is really like, hey, like, what can we do with data? How can data make our product better and our customer experience better? How can we automate more? Where can we use machine learning to, kind of, scale CRM and kind of customer journeys, right? Like what could we do if we had like a really robust customer profile at our fingertips for, kind of customizing, our product, our customer experience, and even creating, as I said, products and data products which can help internal and external customers, right? Where can data be useful? So I think like, the analytics front, I think, analytics and insights is becoming more mature. I think a lot of companies have got their head around it and they're trying to do better, or they've done better, right? I think a lot of companies are finally getting it. Not the case if you rewind like 10 years ago. Like I think there's been a lot of improvements there, but I think data permeating into kind of product is still, I think, like a big opportunity, and a lot of companies still getting there and figuring out how to think about it.
That's good. Yeah, it's hard when in business in general, people can sometimes be reactive more than proactive. But the more you give yourself space to be proactive, that's when data can fuel so many bigger, better decisions and allow you to innovate in ways that you hadn't even thought. But it does take a little bit of a pause and just good management of what all is in motion and being able to think strategically about the data set that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one final question for you, Elliott, that I'm very curious to hear your thoughts around. And that's when it comes to principles. I want to hear from you. What is a core principle that has helped you be successful in business?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think something that I've employed as a core principle throughout my career, is like, asking, asking your why, like, kind of Simon Sinek had a great talk on that, of course. And, I think probably, I've thought about that, through my whole career. I think just being really objective about why you're doing things, and if you can't articulate that, then maybe you shouldn't be doing them, or maybe, connecting your kind of why and your purpose to that initiative could definitely help guarantee it be successful. So like, I find that my why is usually squarely focused on customer, right? I feel like is the right thing to think about for just many organizations, many leaders. And, I think about customers, I think about internal customers, I think about external customers. So, many times you find initiatives, especially, we talked about innovation. So it's interesting to talk about innovation where you have innovation for innovation's sake, and we've definitely seen a lot of that over the past years to decade, where people have gone through like kind of modernization projects, innovation, digitization projects, just because like, the CEO said it was a good idea, or, it made the CTOs like propeller spin, right? And I think, those cases without like a strong connection to like a purpose, right? Usually the customer are doomed, right? And we've seen so many of those kind of digitization, modernization projects not be successful because they weren't properly connected to the why, right? So like, I think it is healthy at all phases of a project, to come back to that and really say like, why are we doing this? And make sure that you're really connected to what's most important to you and your organization. So that's probably my top pick.
That's awesome.
Question.
And it makes sense. The companies that you've chosen to go work for, I could see how you could find a really big why in that and go all in and not think twice about what you guys are focused on and charging towards big goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, That's good. Well, keep up the amazing work, Elliott. I'm such a fan. Love what you're doing at Capsule, and I'm excited to see what you guys do over the next, gosh, 5, 6, 7 years. Like it's going to be game changing. So,
Yeah, for sure.
mm,
So thank you, and all the same to you as well. Thanks for this opportunity.
yeah, keep it up. We'll talk again soon.
All right, thank you.